Thanks, LA, for watching the Fox 11 10 o'clock news. For big stories, in-depth investigations, reports that matter to you. Thank you for choosing the Fox 11 10 o'clock news.
That's the corner of Wilshire and Westwood, arguably the busiest intersection in all of the city of Los Angeles. And all of those people you see sitting down on the pavement are members of AFSCME, Local 3299. AFSCME being the acronym for the American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees. They were sitting in here, tying up traffic on a Friday for a long, long time as part of their protest against the way they were being treated in negotiations by the University of California Medical Center. It's a long battle that continues to be fought, and I don't think that's too strong a word. Do you?
That captures it correctly, yes.
Yeah. Kathryn Lybarger is with us. She is the president of Local 3299, which represents the people who work in the medical centers, amongst others.
Right. We represent 22,000 people at the University of California across the state in the medical centers and on the campuses. Mm-hmm. And you know, what our folks do is if you, have the misfortune to have to stay in a hospital overnight, it's at a UC Med Center. If you press that call button, it's our folks who are going to come to your bedside. And
living here in Southern California, with our freeways, with this large population, chances are pretty good that at some point in your lifetime, you're going to end up at one of the UC medical centers.
Exactly.
And they're all over the place here in Southern California, in particular.
Right. I mean, it's the fourth largest healthcare delivery system in the state.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with Local 3299 and the state, but we're going to talk about the larger issue of labor in the United States because Labor Day is coming up next weekend. So there's a term, and sometimes it's imposed or sometimes it's implemented, but that's what happened to your members. Tell us what it is in a brief way.
So implemented is something that an employer, just technically speaking for information, the employer in the public sector has a right to do once, negotiations break down and they reach a final impasse. And the employer can impose their last, best, and final offer. It's called implementation. And what happened with us is that our employer imposed their terms on pension, wages, sick and vacation. And honestly, implementation, whether it happens at a television station or at a hospital or on a campus, a construction center, is really an affront to the collective bargaining process. But I have to stress, it's an affront to the people that we are supposed to serve.
How do you make the connection?
Well, what we've been working hard for over a year at the bargaining table is language that would give more protections to our workers in the workplace. But ultimately, when we're talking about improving staffing levels in a medical center, we're talking about having enough people on the floor that when your grandmother goes into a hospital and presses that call button, she's not going to have to wait 20 minutes or 2 hours for someone to come and help her go to the bathroom, right? We're not going to have somebody have to triage who to pick first. If you go in with a head injury, does he treat you first or the other person with a head injury first? Those are real decisions having to be made.
And in this case, because there's a staffing shortage.
There's a staffing shortage. So when negotiations break down,
the decision has to be made because of staffing shortages in triage who gets the treatment first.
Exactly. Yeah. So when your employer is not willing to discuss staffing shortages and just cuts off negotiations, then sure, we're impacted, but really the people we serve are the ones who are hurt.
The reality, though, is that it's easy to couch all of this in terms of how it's going to affect the public, as opposed to couching it in terms of we're a union and we want to take care of our rank and file members.
Sure. And I think, though, we're used to thinking of unions, generally speaking, as people who, as organizations that are really just about their members, dues, their bottom line, their paycheck, right? I think that it's important to understand what unions, what working people have fought for decades, for centuries now, which is actually fighting for something that I think everybody agrees on, which is a stronger, bigger middle class. When we talk about winning a basic living wage, a good living standard, that's in keeping with this urge toward a middle class. When we talk about fighting for safer staffing in a hospital, that's about providing not only protecting workers in a hospital, but it's about protecting the people who walk through those doors, who have and should have a right to good health care. It's about fighting for an affordable education. Every Californian who pays taxes to the University of California system should expect that their children have a shot at going to the UC and being able to afford it. And we're getting away from that mission now. Unions, workers who engage in the collective bargaining process, have an ability to advocate for the people we serve. Right. Broadly speaking, and I got to tell you, I mean, first and foremost, we're public servants. Even, you know, my coworkers who are dumping trash at the end of the night, my coworkers who are mowing the turf in the morning, we understand the mission that we support. The athletics gardeners, one of my friends, Danny, is an athletics gardener up at Memorial Stadium at UC Berkeley. That's where Aaron Rodgers graduated from. And when he comes back to Berkeley, he and Danny talk sometimes. Danny knows that he supported this kid who started at UC Berkeley and went on to become an MVP. So yeah, it's a modest job that he does, but there's meaning in it, and it's important, right? Now, when you put it in a hospital setting, we're talking about, you know, what my members do is, you know, they work with high-risk patients. They work with kids with cancer who, if they don't have enough time to sit with the parents of a sick child, then, you know, what is already a horrible experience turns into a horrifying experience. There's no one to help carry them through that experience, to explain what is going on to the child they've brought into this world. That, I mean, it's just dehumanizing, right? So, but if you're one of my folks, you've dedicated your life to doing that kind of work, and you don't want to see it compromised. We care about the people we serve.
There was a time in this country, I guess during my parents' time, your grandparents' time, when unions there were a lot of unions, there were a lot of members, and that's gone away. What happened? You know, I think that we can look at sort of the broader shifts, you know, how there are times when the economy is big and you need more workers, and so, you know, it's the people who need more workers are more willing to, you know, do what we ask, right? But honestly, I think that it's always been a struggle by the vast majority of us, by working people, to advocate for ourselves, our families, our communities, and for each other. It's always been a question of organizing. So, but when you speak about organizing, it almost seems now as though whether you're talking about corporate level or at state governments, for example, that there's an organizing process to get rid of unions, to make unions illegal.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we saw it recently with Prop 32 fight in California. And that wasn't the first time that we, you know, engaged in that issue in California. We've seen it in Wisconsin. You know, it's this, we're seeing a growing gap between those with money and those without. And, you know, but that's not new. You know, there are times when that goes up and down. You're absolutely right. We're seeing an intensification of that right now. But I think the question is, what do we do about it? What do we do about it now, right? And for us, we're a union that's been implemented on. You know, you could say, oh, well, does that end the fight? Negotiations are over. Well, absolutely not. I think that, you know, we shouldn't be having a discussion about income inequality in the public sector, in a public institution. We shouldn't be talking about the fact that there are 7,600 public employees at the University of California who make more money than the governor, that there are 700 employees who make more money than the President of the United States. And yet, there are 8,000 employees who qualify for some form of public assistance, who work full-time at the University of California. That's not a discussion we should be having, yet that's what exists right now. That puts on us an imperative to not stop pushing forward and demanding that there have to be changes at the University of California, not just for the families of the people who work there, but honestly for the Californians who pay their taxes to that institution, whose families walk through those doors to the hospital, whose kids go to school there.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please.
Check it, man. There's 50 G's inside. What do you think, more? Like 100? Man, what's the problem? I can totally
Take a look at the sign, man. Keep walking.
Mortgage interest rates have tumbled to rock bottom. There's no way for them to go but up. Before they rise, get Greenlight's low fixed rates. With Greenlight, there's no lender fees or closing costs. We even cover your appraisal fee. And Greenlight's technology means instant approval and fast funding. Hurry, rates may rise soon. Grab a great one now.
866-66 faster. You've got the green light.
When you experience something great, you want to share it with everyone. That's why more customers recommend Verizon, America's largest 4G LTE network. Countless reasons, one choice. That's powerful. Verizon.
The Ari Jose tweeted, need an SUV, #now. No way, Ari Jose. Right now it's the Honda Summer Clearance event, and you should get the Pilot. It seats 8, and it's loaded with standard features. But don't just take my word for it. What should Ari get? Pilot! And if a unanimous vote from people in a commercial isn't enough, we've got tons of great deals.
Want a new car? Get a great deal on one you'll love at the Honda Summer Clearance event, happening now.
Check it, man. There's 50 G's inside. What do you think, more? Like 100? Man, what's the problem? I can totally
Take a look at the sign, man. Keep walking.
She's a loving sister.
Get your hands off of me.
No, make me. Married to one fly guy.
Phil Dunphy, yo.
Who's buds with her dad.
You get away from me, man.
Who landed a hot new wife.
What if I gain 100 pounds? You gonna leave me there?
No.
What's with the pause?
And when his son and his boyfriend adopted a daughter.
Do I coddle her more than any other loving parent? It's possible.
They became a modern family.
Premieres September 23rd at 7 and 7:30 on Fox 11.
This is the realest thing, as ancient choirs sing, a dozen blushing cherubs wheel above Los Angeles, my love.
For more information about all things AFSCME, you go to www.afscme.org. And if you want to look specifically at what's going on with Local 3299, you can use that same address, but after AFSCME, just type in 3299.org, and you'll get all of the local news as well. We'll have that, of course, for you when we come back after a few additional messages.
You will lose the Bad Dad Showdown.
Oh, we'll see.
My dad squandered away the family fortune, and now he has to live with me.
The last 4 of your social is 7146, correct?
My dad's a light kiss on the lips, Dad. Did you taste the tuna that he had for breakfast?
Dads premieres Tuesday, September 17th on Fox.
Come to the Golden Opportunity Sales Event and experience the connectivity of Lexus and Forum. Available on all Lexus models. Lease the 2013 RX 350 for $399 a month for 27 months, and we'll make your first month's payment. See your Lexus dealer.
It's Shoe Week at Ross, featuring the top brands for men, women, and kids at unbeatable savings. These athletic shoes are $30 elsewhere, but if you want the same shoes for less than half, you gotta go to Shoe Week at Ross.
We'll save your memories, your stories and songs, your future, your legacy, your up all night long, your 10,000 song soundtrack, your reason for living. We'll save your gift so it can keep on giving.
Better hurry to Shoe Week at Ross. See all the latest styles, the hottest brands, all at unbeatable savings. Like these flats, $50 at department stores. But if you want them for less than $16, you gotta go to Shoe Week at Ross.
Come to the Golden Opportunity Sales Event and experience the connectivity of Lexus and Forum. Available on all Lexus models. Lease the 2013 ES350 for $339 a month for 27 months, and we'll make your first month's payment. See your Lexus dealer.
Philadelphia, yo.
Same family, new home.
Get your hands off of me.
No, make me.
Modern Family.
Premieres September 23rd on Fox 11.
This is the weekend before the long Labor Day weekend, so we're devoting today's program to labor issues, specifically AFSCME Local 3299 and its battle with the state of California, the University of California more specifically, all of its employees, public service workers who are working at the University of California medical centers. Let's get it out of the way. There was just recently a fine imposed on UC Davis and UC Ronald Reagan, which is right here in Los Angeles.
That's right.
Give us a concise version of what happened.
Sure. So, they were both dinged for findings of immediate jeopardy. I believe at UCLA there was, something left in the patient. After surgery, they had to go into surgery again to remove it. And, these are fines totaling $100,000. There were 11 fines imposed recently on the university hospital system. We've seen, I could just rattle it off. It's unfortunately, it really underpins why we've been fighting around safe staffing issues and, more broadly for better patient care at the hospitals. We found an increasing incidence in bed sores, which lead to actually, serious infections that can be, life-threatening. We're seeing at UC Davis Medical Center, actually previously, I think, there was a couple doctors who were found to be experimenting on patients with brain cancer without their permission, and they died. We're seeing chronic understaffing in the face of actually increasing documented problems at the university hospitals. In San Francisco's medical center, even though they've got a drastic increase in bed sores, which means that you don't have enough people on the lift and turn team, the CEO eliminated 300 jobs there, and supposedly to free up money to expand the hospital. They're expanding into another part of the city. The CEO for that took in a $300,000 bonus that year.
Okay, what I'd like to do is move away from AFSCME specifically, talk more about the labor movement across the United States. We talked just a little bit before, diminishing numbers of unions, diminishing number of union memberships. I wonder if we have, in some ways, as unions, shot ourselves in the foot by imposing work rules down to the letter, and so on and so forth, or if there's a need to be more evolutionary in the way we look as union members at the relationship with our employers.
I think honestly what we need to do a better job of is really drawing the connection that we have as a unionized workforce to the interests that we organically share with the rest of our non-union brothers and sisters. If we have stepped backwards, there have been some real changes in the economy that have been challenging, absolutely, in the way that the global economy has developed. But that said, I think that the main failure has been actually a failure to organize and a failure to hold the line. You don't move forward by giving in on the things that are actually good for everybody, right? The weekend is good for everybody. In areas where there's a higher rate of unionization, actually everybody's wages are better and the standard of living is better.
But then the argument has been recently, particularly employees of the state, local, particularly employees of governments, government agencies, where all of a sudden people are throwing up their hands and saying, oh goodness, look at the gigantic retirement benefits that these people are going to have. Not realizing that the people who are in anguish are also the people who agreed to these contracts. But nevertheless, all of the blame falls upon the union members.
I think that, again, it's really about making the connection that is real between the people who do the everyday work, the frontline workers in a workplace, and the interests that they share with everybody else. When you talk about, you brought up pensions, right? The problem that we have with pensions in the public sector isn't so much with the custodian who's going to retire on about $19,000 a year. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that there are 2,200 public employees who will retire on $100,000 or more per year. They're not the unionized workforce. Mm-hmm. Those are the executives running the university, mm-hmm. right? It's the city manager of Bell, right? That's where the problem is. And I think that it's incumbent on us to continue to fight to make sure that we're actually fixing that situation. We have a concrete solution, for example. It's why, my union actually supports the Senate Constitutional Amendment 15. If you give me a minute, I'll explain what that is.
But not more than a minute.
Great. If people remember, about a year ago, the legislature enforced pension reform for all of California's state workers. What the SCA 15 does simply is make the University of California subject to that. And that would rein in these executive pensions. It would bring in savings of tens of millions of dollars that could be used to go to save staffing. It could be used to hold down tuition costs, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that the public's concern about, public employee excess is correct if they understand which public employees they're talking about.
The fact that it's more and more difficult to organize in this country, not just in California, but for example, in states where there is a right to work. How to put that into perspective for us? It sounds as though there's a concerted effort somewhere to, if not get rid of unions, to at least diminish their influence.
Absolutely. It's we see it all across the country. We've seen it in Wisconsin, Michigan, right? We've seen it in California. We've seen it at the University of California when your employer implements and shuts down negotiations. I mean, that's
but the bigger issue is unions themselves. And I should point out that everybody working on this program, all these wonderful people, we are all members of some union somewhere. So just so you'll know.
Yeah.
If unions were such a wonderful thing, and there's clearly an era in this country's history when they were welcomed, but if it was such a wonderful thing, why is it so difficult to organize nowadays, and why does it seem as though the people we mentioned earlier are trying to squash unions?
I think that we don't have a society that's run by unions and that's run by working people, right? We have. I think that what we're seeing now, though, we've seen in history before. The history of organizing in this country is bloody, actually. Yeah. And all the gains that we've ever seen, that we see now in this country, the right to an 8-hour day, which is something now that we're finding we have to fight for the right to work as much as 8 hours, right, against part-time work. The right for the weekend, people died for that.
Yeah.
And so that we're getting back to that point. I think what's exciting, though, is that when we broaden this idea of organizing out to really just the idea of organizing, and not just unions, but what is being done in workplaces to build power, the picture gets a little better. Honestly, we can talk about the fight for comprehensive immigration reform. Right? There's some significant organizing happening there, not just for national legislation, but I think also in worker centers. It's another way of organizing workers so that they're no longer exploited or abused, so that they actually get paid, right? We're seeing...
But there is, if you'll forgive me for interrupting, because we're almost out of time.
Sure.
There is a long history, and you made that point. A lot of what we take for granted as workers in this country today are the result of sacrifices, of blood spilled, of a whole series of things that have not been remembered as well as they should be. But on that note, we got to take one more break. We'll be right back.
From every beachside, hillside, and mountainside, you'll find a new Ram 1500 on your side. And Ram is part of the fastest growing automaker in California. So hurry in. These trucks are going just as fast. This Labor Day wraps up the Ram Summer Clearance Event. Now during the Labor Day sales event, get $1,000 event bonus cash on Ram 1500. Or lease Ram 1500 Express Quad Cab for $259 a month.
I'm sorry, this is only for the Time Warner cable team.
What's this about faster internet?
With our fiber-rich network, you can get speeds up to 50 megs.
You know Time Warner Cable is the winning team.
We do, we know that! Internet and TV starting at only $64.99 a
Call
month?
1-855-WANT-TWC.
1-855-WANT-TWC.
I shouldn't be saying this, but if you call now, you get a $300 reward card.
Thank you!
It's time for a better entertainment experience. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. Guaranteed.
How do people like tahini flavor?
It's bursting with flavor in my mouth right now. I love it.
I can't eat fruit without it now.
Honey, it's more than a party in my mouth. It's like a fiesta.
I put it on my baked potato. Ooh, that little bit of zing at the end. I love that.
It makes it taste better. It made the melon taste more melony.
Tahini, America's new way to enjoy fruits and veggies.
The British are coming! Oh, wait. It's the Italians. The Italians are coming!
The 5-passenger Fiat 500L. It's a big new world.
This is going to start a revolution.
For more information about AFSCME, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, you can go to the national website, which is there, www.afscme.org. For more information about Kathryn's local 3299 and all that's going on there, just use that same address, but after AFSCME, put 3299. And then you're also on Facebook?
I want you to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/AFSCME3299.
Okay, good. You touched on it, and we only have like a minute and a half left, but where are the heroes nowadays? We had Cesar Chavez here in California.
Right. I think that, today everyone's looking for a hero. And, the individual leaders who stood up, they're important, but the truth is change has been made by thousands and millions of regular working people like you and me. Mm-hmm. And it just really takes people willing to dig in and organize that. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it, McDonald's workers, Walmart workers stepping out to say, I deserve better.
Employees of Apple stores.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that, those are heroes. Yeah. And we can't let go of those examples because we're going to see more of that. That's inspiring.
And you're not giving up either.
Oh, absolutely not. We're just getting started.
On that note, thanks for being with us, Kathryn.
Thanks so much.
We appreciate your time. And thanks to all of you. We will see you back here for the season's last program next Sunday. See you then.
Los Angeles, your sun shines with a smile that reflects on people that you meet in Los Angeles. Those smiling faces wish you well, bringing sunshine to your heart, blue skies up above. There's a Dodgers warming up. It's a beautiful day in LA. Lovers hand in hand walk along the sand while breaking waves set the mood for romance. I love
When you experience something great, you want to share it with everyone. That's why more customers recommend Verizon, America's largest 4G LTE network. Countless reasons, one choice. That's powerful. Verizon.
At Maddie Becker1 tweets, I really want an SUV. Hashtag money probs. 3 Z's.
Maddie, we can probs fix those probs with a great deal on the CR-V at the Honda Summer Clearance event. It's loaded with standard features, and it's from America's best value brand. Well, there you go. Problem solved.
Want a new car? Get a great deal on one you'll love at the Honda Summer Clearance event.